Which leadership works best? Leadership is a highly sought after and highly valued commodity, which is why there are so many differing styles. Some styles of leadership, like authoritarian, bureaucratic, and democratic, have been around for decades, while others, like authentic and servant, are relatively new. Thanks to these differing styles, leaders must learn which style works for them. To discover this, they must ask themselves questions about where these styles work best. What can happen if this is not the correct style for a situation? And how a style will shape followers also they can become better at understanding when and where to use these different styles of leadership so they can become better leaders for their followers. Where does authoritarian leadership work? Authoritarian leadership truly only works in certain situations, those being environments of harsh economic standing and emergencies. The reason this leadership works so well in these situations is because of this style's decisiveness. The view on authoritarian leaders is that these types of leaders assert absolute authority and control over followers, expecting followers to do so without question. This style of leadership does not do well in the long term because of the effects it has on its followers. Authoritarian leaders expect absolute conformity. They do this by intimidating, threatening, and causing high levels of stress because they tend to micromanage their followers. All of these things end up reducing the trust followers have in their leaders. With this reduced trust, followers are less likely to share new ideas that could improve the way things are done. This behavior can also cause followers to have poor self image, lower follower motivation, and create an overall negative work environment for all. Bureaucratic leadership has been seen as the most efficient way to run organizations. This is all thanks to its formal top down style of leading, its dependence on the rules, the prioritization it has of division of labor, the way it handles promotions, and its efficiency in getting the work done. All of these are reasons why large corporations and government agencies love using it. However great this style seems, if used in the wrong situation, it may end up making an organization fail, especially if that organization is small. This style is also struggling to survive in the work culture itself because that culture has started to change. In many situations, followers need rules and procedures in order to do their jobs, but sometimes these rules lack flexibility to change and grow over time, causing the work to become fixed. This fixed state causes followers to lack motivation, to no longer share knowledge, and to be afraid of exploring new ways of doing things because they are afraid of the failure that might come with that exploration. Democratic style of leadership encourage followers to share in the decision making. Democratic leaders motivate followers to learn through information acquisition, sharing, and connecting, as well as seeking new opportunities, which is why this style works so well in a more creative, low pressure environment. Democratic leadership's biggest strength may also be its biggest weakness. Sharing ideas can, in times of emergency, impair a leader so they can't make quick decisions. Also, if the followers participating in this information sharing are unknowledgeable about a subject, they end up wasting the time of the leader and everyone else involved. Democratic leaders encourage followers to be involved with making decisions. This makes followers be more invested and creates trust between leader and follower. This trust creates a higher morale, allows for information sharing, gives followers a space for creative thinking, and increases the organization's transparency so it can hold up to outside scrutiny. Authentic leadership is a newer style of leadership that believes a leader's better self awareness and self regulated behaviors create positive self development for both the leader and the follower alike. Thanks to this, it is thought that this style of leadership should work in any and all industry. Thanks to the thought that this style works everywhere, authentic leadership is truly only wrong if the wrong person is using it. If a leader's authentic self is negative, then that way of thinking will end up flowing down to their followers. Authentic leaders have the ability to do some real good for their followers. When used correctly, this style can create a more involved workforce that really any organization can benefit from. Servant leadership comes from the idea that leaders are servants first, meaning they serve their followers. For that to happen, these leaders typically have an altruistic calling, which lends itself to almost any industry, but truly works well in the industries of education and healthcare. Servant leadership's negatives may start out small, but if left unchecked, they can grow into something very ugly. If the servant leader is one who does not feel empathy towards others, then they will only harm those following them. Servant leadership focuses on serving those being led instead of just leading them. This has a profound impact on those followers. In a place with high servant leadership, followers have better emotional, mental, and physical health. Followers also end up having better relationships with their coworkers. These benefits also impact the ones doing the leading. The main question has been how to become better at understanding when and where to use these different styles of leadership. To do so, a look back is needed. In times where there is an emergency, authoritarian leadership can be beneficial, but this style of leadership has proven time and again that it is no longer a viable long-term leadership style. Followers need rules and procedures, but if these types of leaders are unable to become flexible, then the organization may fail because work culture is changing. Democratic leadership is perfect in so many industries because it encourages followers to share and be part of the process. However, this style needs to be balanced with a more formal style when the time calls for it. The idea of authentic leadership is wonderful. Leaders getting to be themselves and encouraging their followers to do the same. But it only really works if that authentic self is positive. A leader must avoid using servant leadership in a harmful manner if they want it to succeed, because it can have such an amazing impact on followers. This style is amazing because it can work anywhere and has the ability to impact all of those who see it done correctly. Learning when to use one type of leadership and not another is not an easy skill. This is something that takes even the best leaders decades to understand, but once a leader does, they and their followers can be very successful. While these types of leaderships that we discussed are a great place to start, they barely scratch the surface of what styles are out there. One thing that needs to be remembered is that good leaders create good followers.